Queens Assemblywoman Jenifer Rajkumar says it's time for a woman to crunch the numbers in city government. She's running for comptroller. But before I get started on the comptroller, I'd like to ask you about your take about what's been going on in city government with the raids on the homes of 4 top officials of the Adams administration. How do you react to it?
What I have to say is that every American is entitled to due process of law and equal protection under the law, including the mayor of New York City. So as a lawyer, I trust in the legal process and I trust in those cornerstone principles.
So do you think that there are any political repercussions from all of this, or will there be, given the fact that the mayoral race is until a year from November?
It's a long way away to Election Day, and the mayor is very focused. So this is just how it is. This is part of the job. You know, there have been other mayors, many other mayors, that have also been investigated. This is just how it is.
So let me ask you this question. You're running for comptroller. How would you change the office if you won?
Well, that is right. I am running to be the 46th comptroller of the city of New York because I want to love and care for and empower all the people of this city. And right now, government inefficiency is costing lives, and I can fix it. So that is why I am running for this office. We have the largest budget of any city in the world. But my question is, where does all the money go?
So you think there's waste?
I think there's waste, and I think government programs could run better. When you go to a school gym and there's not an air conditioner, okay, when our pension funds are not delivering maximum returns for our hardworking retirees, these are all inefficiencies that I intend to fix.
Well, you know, as you point out, the comptroller does sit on the pension funds board, and I wonder if you think that there should be any changes in the investments, any companies that New York should divest from.
Yes, we have the largest pension fund in the world, and the largest pension fund in the world should perform the best of any pension in the world, and we're not. The returns this year were at 10%, but if we had invested differently, it could have been 13%. So we can get there.
What investments would you make that are different?
I think that we need to return to a standard portfolio, which would be 60% global stocks, 40% bonds. And I also think we need to clean up the house on the inside by getting rid of fund managers that are not performing the best that they could. That is estimated to save us $7 billion a year.
So you would get rid of these fund managers and do it yourself, or just hire different ones?
I would see if they could improve. If not, maybe we bring in different people. But the bottom line is we got to go in and we got to clean in-house.
So one of the things I'd ask you about is this. One of the things that the pension funds invest in are investments in Israeli companies and Israeli government bonds. There has been a call for some divestiture. How do you feel about that?
Well, I am a strong supporter of the state of Israel. I do believe that we have to be ethical the way that we invest. We have to do what's best for our retirees when it comes to pensions. We have to do whatever it takes to make sure that our pensions perform well. However, we also have to operate under certain morals and standards, and that is something that I'm very serious about. For example, I would not invest in big oil because that's an environmental hazard and our planet matters.
But in terms of Israel, you would keep the investments that we have now?
Yes, I would.
Okay, so I know that you're also in the Assembly and a very active member of the Assembly. I wonder what your take was when Governor Hochul decided to pause congestion pricing, which has caused a lot of consternation on both sides of the issue.
We now have to figure out how we're going to raise funds for the MTA.
Yes, you do.
And I have called for a special session of the legislature so we can go back and figure this out, because we cannot wait.
But here's the question. How do you do it? Do you unpause the pause? Do you come up with new taxes, new funding sources? Where do you come down on that?
Well, that's a very good question. I'm from South Queens. And if you go to the outer boroughs, working class people are not ready to pay the high tolls that congestion pricing would have implemented. So we need to go back to the drawing board and come up with a solution that's going to work for all New Yorkers. And we have to audit the MTA, because the money that's already there, where is that going? That's the concern that I hear from many New Yorkers around the city.
So I'm wondering, do you think that there should be, instead of a $15 congestion fee, some lesser amount, which is some of the hints that the governor is making? Or do you think that maybe you should tax the rich, a mansion tax, a sales tax? Where do you come down on that?
I think lesser amounts are worthy of consideration, as well as exemptions for certain classes of people, more exemptions.
But you see, the more exemptions, the more money you have to raise from the tax because less people are paying for it. So where does that money come from?
These are all very good questions. And we need to come together as Albany lawmakers and figure it out.
Do you think really that there's an appetite in Albany for more taxes?
I think amongst some members there are, and amongst some members there are not. There's not an appetite among the people of this city. So these are very difficult questions.
So here's the other thing. There's another proposal that's been made by one of your fellow assemblymen, I should point out, Zohar Mamdani, who says that buses should be free. All buses should be free, which would cost about $800 million, which would have to come from either the city, the state, or some combination. Is that something that you think that the city should consider, especially in the outer boroughs where there's transit deserts and busing is one of the most important things to them?
Yes, I think it is. I think we need to work towards free buses. We're not there yet. There was a pilot program, but we need to see what the results are of that pilot program. And as comptroller of the City of New York, I'm going to be all over this. I'm going to see what our outcomes are so I can see where we can improve and where we need to go.
Are you at all concerned that it's going to be difficult to get something like that passed by the legislature, given the fact that there's such a big price tag?
Yes, it's always difficult in Albany to get things through, but if you create movements and you get the people on your side, you can have impossible wins, as I have had in several areas.
So, since you've announced for controller, your office has been broken into. There are these negative campaign websites that seem to make fun of you. I wonder, what's your take on this? And why do you think you have been specifically targeted for these things to happen?
Well, I can't speak to anyone's motivations, but I can say that there's a high incidence of women being targeted. I am the only woman running in this race. If I win, I'll be the first woman of color ever to be comptroller of the City of New York. But I can tell you that every act of intimidation just makes Team Jenifer stronger. I live for this, and this campaign will not just be for me, this will be for all of the women across our city, because I believe in their potential.
Don't you think that there's certain unfairness about attacking a woman? And doesn't that give you pause? I mean, when you go to sleep at night, aren't you thinking, like, this is really unfair to me?
I come from a very positive place. I think that women also have so many unique skills and advantages and things that they bring to the world. And that's what I tend to focus on. When I look at the little girls in my district, and when I taught at CUNY and taught so many young women, I saw limitless potential. So I'm always reminded about what we can do as women. And I believe that we may even have a woman president of this country very soon.
Do you think it's possible to force these people to take down these phony websites? Or would you even try to do that?
I haven't been focusing on it. To me, it's all just noise. I'm just focused on all of the work that I want to do as comptroller. I'm focused on being all around this city, meeting New Yorkers, and hearing from them.
Another issue that is going to be a big one in the city is the closing of Rikers, which is supposed to close by 2027, even though the community jails don't have enough space. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think that it comes from a good place, but when we close Rikers, then what? Where is everybody going to go? So I haven't really seen a sustainable plan. I think it's very important that people are treated humanely in Rikers. There have been terrible stories of pre-trial detention and what happens to people as they're awaiting trial. It's grossly unfair. These are injustices that I am fully committed to fixing.
You know, the Comptroller's Office does a board saying how many people are in jail, et cetera. Do you think that possibly the controllers should start auditing the jails to see what they're doing?
Absolutely. I think that we could get a lot of good information that way and come up on some very good solutions once we have the data.
Jenifer Rajkumar running for controller. We're going to have to leave it right there for now, but our conversation continues right after the show on CBS News New York. We're back with a bonus conversation with Queens Assemblywoman Jenifer Rajkumar. So it's the beginning of school and classes have just started in New York City. You were at a big press conference with the mayor the day before school opened to say that there's 24 new schools that are going to be opened. I wonder, when you were in school, what was your favorite subject?
My favorite subject was English. I love English literature. I love creative writing. I was that girl with the journal that I wrote and wrote, and I had a very, very big journal. I had so many thoughts. So English is my first love.
So when you were writing in the journal, did you ever say, gee, I wish I could be an elected official? Gee, I'd like to be an assemblywoman from Queens?
Never, not even once.
What were the dreams? Did you talk about your dreams?
I did talk about how when you pass a homeless person on the street, you feel a pain in your heart. I expressed a lot of my feelings about the world when I wrote. I wrote creative, imaginative stories. But no, I never wrote about becoming an assemblywoman.
But did you have dreams of like what you wanted to be when you grew up?
You know, I come from a family of all doctors. So that's all I knew. I knew about how you could help people if you're a doctor. But the way I see it now is I'm a doctor for the whole state as a lawmaker.
So did you ever have a favorite teacher?
I had so many favorite teachers. I was a teacher's pet. You know, I loved school. I carried a bag.
Teacher's pet?
Well, not really a pet, but I loved school. I mean, I carried a bag that said I love school when I went to school. Yes, I did.
And why did you do that? Because you liked it? It was such a thrill to be learning?
Yeah, I just loved school. You know, I loved going to school, being with the kids. I did run for student council. That I did do.
Did you win?
I won some and I lost some.
That's basically the story of politics.
Yes.
You win some and you
Yes.
lose some. So do you meditate?
I do. I'm actually the first Hindu ever elected to New York State office, and meditation is a part of our culture along with yoga.
You know, maybe you could give me some hints, because I don't know. I have no ability to do that. So like what's your secret for being able to go into a zone and to meditate? And why can't I do it?
Oh, I'm sure you can do it. I mean, you're always so calm. I think that you do it naturally.
I'm not really calm.
I mean, I think the easiest thing is close your eyes and think of a yellow light.
A yellow light?
Yes, that's the first thing.
And why yellow as opposed to blue, pink, red? Red.
Red is always good. A yellow light, I don't know why. That's how I grew up. It's the yellow light.
So if you had some time off, what's the best way to spend a rainy day?
A rainy day, I would say curled up with a book or watching some Netflix.
Netflix. Do you have a favorite secret passion on Netflix?
I've really recently been into Away, which is a show about a woman astronaut, and her dream is to go to Mars. And in the last episode, hate to spoil it, she lands on Mars, and you just get to watch it. It's really fantastic.
I have to ask you this question. Would you ever want to go to Mars?
Well, I feel like I'm going to Mars every day, you know, politically, in a sense. So, yeah, I watched that. I felt like I could really relate with that woman.
You feel like when you're in Albany, you feel like you're in another planet,
Yes,
is what you're
pretty
trying
much,
to tell
yeah.
me. So who do you rely on for advice?
I rely on my mom for advice. She often can get right to the point, to the heart of the issue.
And she takes no prisoners, I bet.
No, absolutely not.
So you recently had a birthday.
Yes.
And you, by the way, believe it or not, you and the mayor have the same birthday. So how did you celebrate?
I actually was very low key. I just spent time with family, and we were at a restaurant, just having a little conversation. But it turned out a lot of people knew me at the restaurant, and they said come to another party. So that's why I ended up spending my birthday.
So you had a big party on your birthday after all.
Yes, after all.
So you always are wearing these lovely red dresses, and I wonder, is red like a special color for you? I mean, why red? Why not blue or purple or whatever, or yellow?
Red is the color of passion and purpose, and that's my color. And my constituents are so used to seeing me in red that when they come to see me, they'll wear red for me. Men wear red ties, women wear red, and it's come to symbolize the energy that I'm bringing to the neighborhood when I got elected. I even painted my office red.
Your office is red?
Yes, and so it symbolizes to Queens the energy that I'm bringing.
So I have to ask you, do you have dresses that are any other color besides red?
I have a couple, but if you open my closet, you see mostly red.
And I mean, what would be the occasion when you would choose not to wear red?
At a funeral, I wear black.
Aha. But that's about it?
St. Patrick's Day, I'll wear green.
And that's it?
Pretty much.
How many red dresses do you have?
It's a lot and growing.
Growing?
Yeah, I got to grow this collection to, because I wear it so much.
How many rooms of red dresses do you have?
I would estimate at least like 50 red dresses.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
And do you have to have red shoes to go with it? I mean, today you're not, but I mean...
I've begun experimenting with red shoes.
You have?
Yes.
All right. A woman of passion and purpose. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for joining us, and thank you at home for joining us as well.